You know, I used to think that Apple were the kings of incremental upgrades, but then I realized, no, Samsung holds that crown. This is the Samsung Galaxy A26, a device that offers users some worthwhile upgrades, especially when compared to other budget model devices available in the United States like the Moto G 2025 or the Samsung Galaxy A16, all while still being a very affordable smartphone for most people. But are the upgrades you get with the Samsung Galaxy A26 worth you spending an estimated $300 on it? Well, let's talk about it and find out. What's going on, guys? Ty Tech here, back again, and here's my review of the Samsung Galaxy A26. If you're new to the channel, come on in, don't be shy. Make sure you wipe your feet off when you come in my house, bro. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's take a look at the Galaxy A26 for you. On with the video. Now, when I do these reviews, I usually try to find a common theme or an angle to take when talking about these devices so I can explain them to you guys a little bit better. And the best way that I can explain the Galaxy A26 is that it's much like the Galaxy A16, just with some small upgrades made to it to make it a little bit more of an enjoyable experience compared to its slightly cheaper little brother. I did do a review of the Galaxy A16 as well, so if you'd like to check out that video along with this one before making any final purchase decisions for you guys, I'll leave a link to that video right above my head, and don't forget to subscribe on the way. But with the Galaxy A26, the upgrades that you get with this phone compared to the A16 start with its design and build. You get the same size and type of display as the Galaxy A16 with a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display, not the 6.5-inch display like I tried to proclaim in that review, and thank you to you guys in the comments for calling me out on that. So you still get a display that's plenty big and vivid enough for enjoying your daily YouTube videos, web browsing, or keeping in touch with your family. That content is going to be slightly easier for you to read in direct sunlight as well, since the Galaxy A26 comes with a higher peak outdoor brightness of about 1000 nits compared to 800 on the Galaxy A16. So that glare is still there. Do not throw any parades just yet, but at least that content will be smoother to scroll through since the Galaxy A26 has a higher 120Hz refresh rate. And that higher refresh rate display is protected by a more durable and premium build, depending on who you're asking. The A26 uses a plastic frame around the sides like the A16 with the same positioning for your ports, speakers, SIM card tray / SD card slot, and your volume and power button / fingerprint scanner. But the A26 uses the stronger Gorilla Glass Victus Plus for the front and back glass instead of the glassic front and plastic glass like on the A16. So not only do you get a display that should be more drop and scratch resistant, but you also get a bit more of a premium feeling on the back with the glass that's not going to leave as many fingerprints on it. The glass back does make this phone less durable though, since glass is far easier to break than plastic, but at least it didn't make this phone any heavier or more uncomfortable to use since it's still just about 200 grams. So the A26 was still comfortable for me to use for long periods of time without my hands getting tired. However, the A26 does gain a few of those durability points back though, because if you just so happen to drop this phone in water, the A26 has a better water and dust resistance rating with a more standard IP67 rating for complete submersion. It's only 3 feet for 30 minutes, but that's better than protection from just splashes of water and light rain like the IP54 rating that the A16 has. As far as the software experience on the A26, it's much like you would expect from a budget model Samsung phone in 2025, but with a little extra under the hood for you to work with to make the experience a little more efficient and enjoyable. With the Galaxy A26, you get an Exynos 1380 chip inside, up to 256 gigabytes of storage with expandable memory, up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you'll be running Android 15 out of the box with Samsung's One UI skin, along with the promise of 6 years of software support. But as soon as you take this phone out of the box, you will be prompted to update it to Android 16 and Samsung's One UI 8 skin, so really it's 5 years of software support, but I digress. Now the A26 does have a version with an Exynos 1280 chip inside of it that's only sold in Latin America. So to any new friends out there, hola un todos los nuevos amigos latinoamericanos. And if you don't understand what I just said,
you have 4 months to learn.
Even I don't understand what I just said. I hope that came out right. If it didn't, blame Google Translate. But in either case, this phone felt much better to use than the A16 did. Of course, a budget phone in 2025 is going to exhibit some of the usual drawbacks. The lag when moving between apps, slow but reliable biometric options with the fingerprint scanner on the side and face unlock, and for some reason a very annoying typing experience where I either fat finger the letter right next to the letter that I'm trying to type, or this phone was just trolling me. Sometimes I genuinely couldn't figure out which. I know I just said this phone was a much better experience, just stick with me here.
Just relax.
Because while the normal drawbacks are there, they're managed much better on the Galaxy A26. Along with some good data speeds on T-Mobile's ultra capacity 5G network, normal disclaimers withstanding, navigating this phone using gestures was far more responsive than on the A16, so I didn't have to switch to using the navigation buttons again. The lag when opening apps is still there, but they open fast enough on this phone that you're not waiting literal seconds for that app to open so you can start using it. This phone could actually download and play more graphically intensive games like Asphalt 9 for extended periods of time before it actually started to get hot. And this phone could actually sustain some prolonged multitasking, much better than I would have expected for a phone that's only marginally better than the A16 when just comparing Geekbench scores. The biggest advantage here is probably going to be the 8 gigabytes of RAM that you get with this phone compared to just 4 on the Galaxy A16, which made everyday use like watching YouTube videos, using navigation, playing some games, and using some of Google and Samsung's AI features every now and again, a smooth and enjoyable experience overall, which is great news for you guys or anyone who picks up this phone, because while there is a version of the A26 that does come with only 4 gigabytes of RAM, I couldn't find it, and every listing that I found for the A26 either came with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, which should keep this phone fast and snappy long into that 5 to 6 years worth of support that you'll get with the A26. The cameras, however, despite the upgrades that Samsung made to them, are not things that are going to get better with time. On the back of the A26, you're shooting with the same 50 megapixel wide angle main camera as the A16, but the A26 can now shoot video in 4K resolution at 30 frames per second and 720p video at 480 frames per second, along with the 1080p video at 30 frames per second that the A16 was capable of. And along with the same 2 megapixel macro camera as the A16, you now get an upgraded 8 megapixel ultra wide lens compared to just 5 megapixels on the A16. And then on the front you get the same 13 megapixel wide angle selfie camera that will shoot video in 1080p resolution at 30 frames per second. Now, do any of those improvements help the camera quality here at all?
I don't think so.
There isn't a lot of preserved detail in this photos because the sensor in your main lens is just extremely small, so it doesn't have the space to take in enough light to bring out the finer details of your images, so when you go to zoom in, you end up with a very noisy image a lot of the time, along with producing photos that are much darker and less colorful than they were in real life when you first saw the subject that you wanted to take a photo of. Now, I am going to compare the camera quality of this $300 budget Samsung phone to an iPhone 15 Pro. Do not come for me in the comments, I can already hear a lot of you guys doing it. This is just the only other phone I had on me at the time, and I really wanted to give you guys an idea of what these scenes look like in reality, and not through the lens of a phone with poor dynamic range, color processing, and overexposure problems. Everything I just said applies to the 13 megapixel selfie camera as well, especially the overexposure problems with light flares being prominent in both selfies and selfie videos taken in bright conditions. But it's not all doom and gloom for these cameras, at least from my perspective. Portrait mode photos and selfies weren't too bad. The detail isn't preserved well, but the bokeh in the background is solid, and the separation between me and the background is fine with some slight misses here and there. It's not as sharp as they would like it to be, but it's alright if you don't zoom in too much. The 2 megapixel macro camera caught me by surprise, honestly, with how good it was. Being able to expose some of the finer details in these flowers I saw while I was out, and even the tiny little symbols that are on the back of your PlayStation controller, if you guys didn't know that those were there before. And the video performance, whilst having a lot of the same problems as the photos you take, was very smooth and steady. Thank you optical image stabilization, and even had smoother focal length switching than the Pixel 10 that I just reviewed. But I mean, the kind of person that's picking up the Galaxy A26 isn't going to be trying to film the next Avengers Endgame or some shit. They just want to be able to take a photo or a video of the family pet, your vacation spot, maybe that one embarrassing photo of your friend from the Christmas party for future blackmail, and that's it. And if that's all you're looking for in your smartphone cameras, then the cameras on the Galaxy A26 are going to be perfectly serviceable for capturing all the moments in your life if you want to go back and relive, along with reliving the consequences from those moments. Lastly, we're going to talk about the battery here because there's really nothing new or improved here, but it's not exactly a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. The size, speed, and capabilities of your battery on the A26 are all identical to the A16. You get a 5,000 milliamp hour battery inside the A26 with 25 watt wire charging and no wireless charging, of course. And when I say capabilities, do I mean the same kind of charging? Yes. But I also mean that you're going to get a full day's worth of battery life out of the A26. I recently started getting up about 8 a.m. every morning trying to do more with my day rather than just sleep in. And I'd end the day with about 30 to 35% left, a little more if it was a light day of use. Not enough for me personally to go into the next day without charging it at night, but plenty for watching your videos, listening to music, using Bluetooth and navigation in the car, and web browsing throughout the day without really worrying. Normal disclaimers withstanding. Overall, it's honestly been phones like the A26 and the other Android devices that I reviewed this year that have really helped me appreciate just how much value you can find in these budget Android phones, just how much you can save and how little you have to pay in order to have your needs met. Like the A16 was brilliant with the basics, that's why I gave it a B+ grade, but literally for about $30 more, and I say about because if you go to purchase this phone directly from Samsung, they're going to charge you $300 for it, but if you go to Amazon, you're going to be paying about $220, $230 for it after taxes. So as much as I hate to say it, buy this phone from Amazon. I paid $212 for a 256 gigabyte, 8 gigabytes of RAM mint colored model of this phone that is honestly more of a turquoise or a teal or an aquamarine when you look at it in some lighting conditions.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
But you get a phone that's more durable in terms of water and dust resistance, with build material that add a little bit more of a premium feeling to your phone, a smoother software experience, upgraded cameras, to go along with an already large and bright display, good battery life, expandable storage, and years of software support for like $20 to $30 more than you would have paid for an A16 off of Amazon. The amount of value that you get out of the A26 is insane when you think about just how little extra you have to pay for it. And then if you want better cameras, a better display, or a more efficient processor at $400, so like $100 more, there's a Galaxy A36 for you. I did a review on that phone too, link above my head, and subscribe if you haven't already. Phones like the A26 have kind of taught me how overpriced most modern smartphones are in my opinion. But if you're looking for your phone to be a phone and your needs are simple, but you just want a little bit smoother of an experience and more durability, phones like the A26 prove that there is value out there in smartphones if you know where to look. The main thing I would say that's holding this phone back, particularly in the United States, is that it's not widely available through carrier stores like the A16 is, and that phone is even free with some conditions from those stores. And the only carrier that you can really get the A26 from in the United States is through Straight Talk. But if you're looking to pay the absolute least you have to for your next smartphone, you want a good experience and you have $220, $230 burning a hole in your pocket, if I gave the A16 a B+ for being brilliant with the basics, I have to give the A26 a final grade of at least an A-. Because I feel like the Galaxy A26 is an absolute bargain for what it is. But as always, guys, that's going to do it for my review of the Samsung Galaxy A26. If you or anyone you know are looking for a device with a large, bright, beautiful display, all-day battery life, and a smooth, efficient software experience to go with plenty of future software support, upgraded protection from the elements, and a bit more of a premium feel, I'll leave some shopping links in the description below for you guys as always. But you know what I always say, guys, the choice is yours. Make your move, and if the Galaxy A26 doesn't feel like the move for you, you want to save a little bit more money on your next smartphone, check out my review of the Galaxy A16 on your left. Or if you want to see what upgrades Samsung has to offer for $400, check out my review of the Galaxy A36 on the right, and don't forget to subscribe on the way. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.